Welcome to Beyond the Box. Today we're speaking with Michael Ramsay, General Manager of Digital at Fisher Paykel. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
Well, Michael, you've had an extensive career in digital. So where do you see the biggest opportunities in digital for NZ marketers in particular?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, over my career in digital, it's been less about digital, it's more about how you integrate digital into experiences and deliver real value for customers. So from my perspective, that's a lot more around contextual experiences. A lot of that's been driven by the proliferation in connected appliances in our instance, but obviously connected products across the wider market as well. And a lot of that generates a lot of sensory data. And that provides an opportunity for a lot of marketers now to be entering or putting that into their marketing mix to help them actually create deeper and more intimate experiences with customers.
And a lot of innovation is happening in the market in terms of smart products that connect directly with the internet. What do you see as opportunities for marketers in this area? And I suppose, in particular, where are F&P focusing in this area too?
Shall I answer that one first? Because it's always the first one. So, I mean, from our perspective, what we're doing is we're not slapping an iPad on the front of a fridge. Connected space and smart appliances space is a lot more, it's moved a lot further forward than it has from the gimmickry sort of aspects that initially sort of were in the marketplace a few years ago. And now it's a lot more around, from our perspective, around great products, delivering great services around those products, and those are increasingly connected, and then bringing those together to deliver an overall customer experience that's memorable, meets the needs of our customers, and also is really strongly aligned to the brand and where we want to be as a premium appliance player.
Mm-hmm. So what about other marketers with other consumer products? Where do you think they should go?
I mean, the key thing is to understand that connecting needs to be, when you're connecting a product or a service, it needs to be with meaning and it needs to be useful. Again, you want to move away from being the gimmick. You actually want to be doing something that actually makes people's lives a lot simpler. And it's got a great value exchange for the customer as well, and adds real value. And in fact, it's more than just marketers. There's massive opportunity within overall business value you can drive in adjacent spaces or in different ways. And that's where I think there's some real exciting opportunities in the connected space. And it's where marketers need to integrate into it and understand it. Because it's not only just about how do I communicate with a customer, it's also how do I make sure that I can do that potentially at scale. Because we're talking 50% of all data that's been generated globally is in the connected space, so there's that sensory type of data. So how do you manage that? A lot of businesses are really struggling to manage what's called big data. I call it small data because it's actually the small pieces of data that make the difference, and it's those small pieces of data and those micro interactions that customers have with your brand that increasingly are driving how they perceive you across the whole experience.
And what about in general, though, I suppose, for marketers? What's the big challenges of the next 12 months? What should they be doing?
Yeah, I mean, I sort of touched on it a little bit just now. It's really around how do you set yourself up for that connected era. It's coming, and there's a lot of opportunities. And when I say setting yourself up, there may be that you don't necessarily have that within your product portfolio, but how you engage with customers and how you do that at scale, and how you automate some of that, because a lot of it you can't sort of manage in the way that you used to, is certainly going to be a challenge. So it's potentially it's a thinking opportunity, but more often test and learn some things. Just understand how this can play out for you and what the real value lies, or where it lies.
In the UK, Fisher Paykel are actually selling directly to consumers through your website. It looks like a great way for people to access overseas markets. But what are the marketing challenges that you see they should look out for?
Yeah, I mean, from our experiences, one of the key things is around how do you capture attention. There's increasing fragmentation in consumers' lives. There's a lot of information that they're actually getting pushed at them and then consuming themselves. And so how do you cut through that? And how do you cut through with meaning and be really meaningful in that? And for us, that's a lot around what are some of those unique aspects that you need to be talking about with customers and engaging them on. And a lot of that's been driven out of how do you have them participate with you around what your brand looks like going forward. And a lot of that's driven by great content and the opportunities around that. And it's not just in the UK market. We see it a lot across a lot of the markets we're working in. And it's increasingly evident here in New Zealand and Australia as well.
Great. And I suppose there's a lot of innovation happening with consumer products as well, particularly with smart products, and they can connect to online and do all sorts of things like that. What do you see as opportunities for marketers of consumer products in this space, particularly the New Zealand market, of course?
Yeah. So in the connected environment, a lot of opportunities around having deeper and more intimate relationships with customers. I mean, that's an outcome. I mean, but for marketers, it's really understanding what are the opportunities to have a meaningful connection with a customer, and not necessarily about some of the gimmicks that play out in the marketplace in different spaces, but actually what are the things that are actually really useful and add value to the overall customer and their customer experience and their experience with your brand.
Just some examples of what might be adding value in that space?
It's an interesting one because I think it depends on the different product or service. I mean, a lot of what we're looking at is things like proactive servicing, and also when you look at some of the other products out there like Nest, they can inform you, when certain temperature thresholds are reached. It's not just about a fire; it's actually when things change within the environment, and that's that notification. So it's a heartbeat of information that gives you a surety that things are fine within the home, for example, is one example that we can look at.
And what's the one thing that marketers need to get right in the next 12 months?
So we've talked quite a bit around contextual experiences and that connected opportunity. So it's really about setting yourself up for that connected era that's coming. As that proliferation of data comes swarming in from all these previously analog into now digital and connected capable products, what does that look like? Both from what am I going to offer as a marketer, and what are the opportunities to have really rich conversations or experiences with customers? And then how do I set myself up for that? Because with that volume of data and information, a lot of it needs to be automated where possible, and to make it as easy to manage through, but also being proactive around managing a lot of those things. So whether that's a case of getting yourself set up now, or whether it's a case of doing some test and learn, there's a lot of opportunities out there.
Great. And last of all, some words of wisdom. So what's some nuggets you can give us around what marketers should be doing?
I mean, for me, it's less about telling marketers what they should be doing. A lot of it's actually the landscape for marketers is changing quite dramatically, and a lot of it is driven by technological advancements. So it's being brave and being brave to go out and actually try different things that may be outside your traditional comfort zone. But it's also a key part of marketing increasingly is about change and how you drive change through a business or an organisation. I've certainly seen my role in digital move from being, managing a website to actually how do I drive change through a business to actually digitise a lot more experiences than just that they physically touch on a website, but also wider. So for me, words of wisdom, be brave, try things out.
Great. Thanks, Michael. It's great to speak with you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.